Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps law enforcement veteran, and I got a little drama treat for you today. Destiny reacted to my conversation with Pisco, and we're going to do a little bit of Reactception. I think there's some interesting things said here, so I'm going to bring the characters on the screen. For those of you who don't know, what Destiny has been accused of is bullying Pisco and bullying former orbiters for associating with his detractors and therefore trying to take Steven down or being a part of the machine that's trying to take Steven down. Where Pisco and I fought was, number one, we fought on immigration, but number two, what we also fought on was the nature of our communities, how we police them, and how we deal with the bad elements of our respective sides. I still feel like I agree with my previous argumentation, but I think it's funny to react to it anyways. So let's go ahead and take a look at it.
And I have friends who don't.
He's brain broken, guys.
Using your.
Well, I mean, if Steven wants to donate $1,501, then I'll ban Doobie.
Wait, really?
That's it. It's just money for you.
Yeah.
It's not cultivating the community.
I mean, it's also entertaining.
Oh, okay. That's all it takes, and then you're good. So you think you fulfilled a good standard of moderation?
Yeah, I relatively speaking, like freedom of speech and freedom of conscience.
Interesting. You know what? I've had a change of heart, Connor. I agree with you.
It's kind of funny because Pisco's like trying to trap him, but I guess the two big differences in my mind are that one, well, Connor's position on me is pretty clear. Like Connor is critical of things that I do, which is fine, and like he said them to me privately and he said them to me publicly. But Connor also like still will come on my stream or hang out with me in real life. But I've never gotten all these DMs or crazy things of like crazy shit being said about me in Connor's chat, or with Connor kind of sort of just like co-signing it or not saying much or just being like coy about it.
Why are you cultivating a community of snarkers in your community?
Because I don't police them enough.
Yeah, so don't you think that you have an obligation to moderate your community?
No.
Wait, what?
Wait, what are you talking about? You don't actually believe this.
Wait, hold on. No, sorry. The real answer is I don't think the people in my chat actually really are snarkers. I think I
No, just answer this very simple question. How much has GB super chatted you in the last 3 months, would you say?
1,500.
Damn. Oh, Andy super chatting. Wait, how much is Doobie seriously trying to buy out my entire old orbiter sphere?
$1,500. And what? You think he's just doing that for no reason?
No, he's doing that because he wants me to agree with him.
Haven't you ever stood back and thought about why these people are congregated in your community?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So why do you think that's happening?
Because, okay, if you want my no bullshit, I'm echoing. Damn, I might need to find. I don't even have headphones. Okay, old school. You're gonna have to deal with the echo. I'm gonna have to mute myself. Okay. So, Pisco, just whenever you're talking, I'm gonna mute myself, and it might just take me a second to respond to you. So, what I would say is, unironically, there are people who want me to come over to the J-Stock side. They want me to disavow Destiny, say he's a piece of shit, say that he manages his personal affairs terribly, that he's abrasive and abusive and emotionally callous and a reptile and this, that, the other. And so as a result, those people do exist. And some of them donate, some of them don't. Then
you understand these people are literally responsible for some of the most deranged fucking stalking behavior that you would ever seen in any community, right?
Okay. In order to reactception this, I think I actually have to react a little bit. Not only do I agree with everything that I previously said, this is why I honestly advocate for people to just tell the truth. Okay? Just tell the truth. It's so much easier because I'm not on the fence in order to get money from Doobie. I don't think I'm on the fence at all. I think I'm saying exactly what I think. Okay? Because when you just say what's in your brain, if somebody brings it up later, then you can be like, yeah, I believe that. What's the fucking problem? And I knew that when I was saying these things, that if Steven wanted to be sensitive about it, where he's like, oh, you're associating with all these evil people who hate my guts. And I'd be like, yeah, but here's where I actually think that you're fucking up and doing bad things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what I agree with your detractors on. But what I don't agree with the detractors on, can I give you the exact example of this? Okay. The exact example of this is J-Stock. Okay. Am I harboring Jewish refugees under your floorboards? Maybe a few. Okay. So J Stock and Queeman and Lav and Mr. Girl and all that kind of stuff, they did this immediate post-drama celebration on January 20th. I think it was January 20th, right? What was it, January 20th or was it February 20th? I think it was January 20th. January 20th, 2024, where they said, Destiny's going down. He's a sex abuser. He's a rapist. He's going to be incarcerated. He should be on the sex offense list. He's going to get sued into the ground. He's going to get murdered. You know, he's a piece of shit. He should die. He should lose this entire orbit. Blah, 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 blah. And there was this really crazy energy on the first day. Anonymous chatter for 10 says, 10 seconds in, and we have past caller having tech issues, but if you never let the dog back in to knock shit over, I'm never getting a bingo again. Cool. Cool. Honestly, I'm going to keep the dogs knocking shit down. Right. And so that was their original energy. But what's happened since then is they've almost all walked that back. I haven't heard Max talk about it. I haven't heard Lav talk about it. I've seen Queeman talk about it intermittently. I've seen J-Stock cover it super hard for the first 2 or 3 months and then take a break and then come back to it now whenever there's like a development in the case. But like effectively, like within the past 48 hours, if you were listening to those people talk, you would have thought that Sherry was filing a criminal complaint wherever she is. She was flying down to Miami in order to prosecute the case, that Melina and Stasia and everybody else were joining in on a criminal case and civil case as well. And then like 2 dozen women were going to jump into the civil case and sue Destiny into the ground. And the $3 million that he has in his retirement account is just going to be paid out to all these women. That's what you would have thought if you had gone with the consensus. And now that we're a year into it, what I've heard, I think I've heard J-Stock say this recently. I think I watched some J-Stock content recently. He was like, oh yeah, I think that Steven's probably not going to suffer a criminal consequence now that the criminal consequence has been extrapolated out to Solo and Rose. And then in reference to the civil case, he doesn't think that the case is going to get dismissed, but he does think that the civil case might go to trial and it might get dismissed at trial. And so Steven will have to pay $500,000 to $750,000 in order to defend himself, but that's going to be the penalty that Steven is going to suffer. And if you look at maybe not the words, but if you look at the energy between the first day and now, it's like 90% of this energy has dissipated. And so Steven, like all of the things that I said that were true about Steven in the past are still true now. Steven is an intelligent guy. He's rhetorically gifted. He's excellent at arguing. He's pretty good at research. I think he not only does he advocate for liberalism in a pretty extreme way that gets attention, but I also think that he uses liberalism. He earnestly believes in that political philosophy. But then you can see, in my opinion, as a non-liberal person who appreciates freedom, I think you can see what happens when like nihilism and materialism and hedonism are the guiding forces in your life. And so while I like Steven for all of his professional virtues, and I also think I like him on a personal level for his charisma and his kindness in reference to some of the things that we do, I think we can also call out his flaws as well and call out the ways that he has been abrasive and potentially abusive to other people that has ended his relationships with a whole host of crazy characters. But that doesn't mean that has to be us. And that doesn't mean that Steven can't get better over time. And yeah. So I guess my advice to any creator who's considering this crap is just tell the truth as you see it. It's the easiest thing you can do. It's the easiest thing you can do. And it will save you a lot of heartache.
Wait, are all of these people like super active in all of Connor's community? I mean, if that's the case, I've never seen it before. But I mean, it could be, and maybe these people just aren't in those, and so I don't have members that send me DMs from Connor's community. But
these people like will go to lengths to dox and attack people's families. They are horrible.
But I think it's also different too, in that I feel like Connor's position on me is pretty clear. And I feel like Connor pushes back against people that have like an unhinged hatred for me as well.
People that you're allowing fester in your community.
I think you would have to bring up individuals because I've had Riled Kitten House on stream where we had a tough conversation, and then Doobie hangs out, but I don't really know of any other people besides Doobie who don't like. There's people who don't like Destiny, but they don't like Destiny, but I don't think they engage in snark
I
behavior.
see your chat, dude. I've seen parts of your chat where people are saying all sorts of crazy shit. And if that shit was in my chat about you, you know I'd be moderating that.
What?
Are we?
Wait, so he doesn't moderate stuff about me, but he does moderate about Connor? Or is Pisco role-playing as me in this conversation, saying I would moderate it?
Doing a thought exercise? What are we doing right now?
I'm not telling you to ban anybody. But why haven't you moderated that? Why is your community like that?
He's role-playing as me.
Give me an answer.
This feels like a thought exercise, not an actual conversation.
No, I'm asking why you are cultivating snarkers. Why are you allowing snarkers into your community?
Well, number one, because it's funny.
For lying and bullshitting.
No, yeah, number one, it's funny. Number two, so hold on. So for the sake of this conversation, because I don't know if we're going to wrap and this is going to be like a metaphorical point, or if we're actually going to continue with this line of conversation for the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Role-playing is
Are we going to continue with this line of conversation for the next 5 to 10 minutes? Because I'll answer it earnestly. I don't care.
Answer it earnestly.
Okay. I have a relatively pretty pro free speech perspective in my chat. Matter of fact, you can be a Nazi, you can be a piece of shit, you can hate Destiny, you can have a different take on the Red Sea crisis, you can like Hassan Piker. The one thing that will actually get you banned super quick in my chat is being a smug bitch. That's like beef. Listen, so it's funny how many like layers of like sarcasm and irony this conversation is on. But in my opinion, Pisco is not actually having a real conversation with me where he's saying that he's saying what he genuinely believes. Like Pisco is snarking, or my chat is snarking Pisco. That's obviously not what he's doing. What I think he was doing, and I think Pisco would confirm this, I think Destiny is picking up on it as well, is Pisco is trying to act as if he is Steven and I am Pisco, and he is approaching me in the conversation and he's making the same complaints that Steven made, right? Now, DGG might say, oh, these are straw men. That's not what he's talking about. Like, actually, these snarker communities, you can see them engaging in your community more than this, that, the other. But I think part of the reason why we have a different vibe in our community is because you can hate Steven, but I want you to hate Steven for real things. So for instance, if you're a conservative who hates Steven because he had like that terrible Corey Comparatori series of tweets, that's totally fine. If you hate Steven because you're like a feminist, or you at least are more nice to women than sometimes Steven is, and you don't like the way that he's treated women in the past, that's another legitimate reason to hate him. If you hate Steven because you think he's an embodiment of liberal degeneracy, that's fine. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to spend endless amounts of time and energy dedicating your life to hating Steven, because while it's fun to talk about him a healthy chunk of the time, it's not good for you to talk about him all the time. And I think that's why I know. So for instance, we were down to like 50 people or whatever at some point, because I think Steven went live recently. We got another 20 just because we started talking about like Steven drama, right? Another 20 people came into chat and we're like hanging out now. So it's good algorithmically, but it's not good for your soul. And you need to pace yourself when it comes to this. Officer Nasty says, damn, I missed it. Did Connor cover Destiny showing Rose's full legal name and photo on stream yesterday, explicitly breaking the court order? No. Which is funny because Jen Winkler said something nice about Steven earlier. And so I was like, okay, I got to be his friend. But then like, that's the kind of like random unhinged shit that you got to put up with. What? What did you say, Officer Nasty? What happened? What happened? That's like the fastest way. So you have free speech, but you can't be smug to me.
If people are making insane accusations of people, you don't moderate that. You don't give a duty to moderate that and ban these people.
You'd have to give me an example, because even with like
why would I have to do that? Well, I don't watch all your streams, right? But people know. People, I mean, come on, people tell me.
I think the biggest guy who dislikes there's a couple of groypers who dislike Steven. I think that Doobie is the only person who makes points about Steven, and some of the points he makes
And
I
you
think
let him
are a
stay
little
on there, right?
hyperbolic. Hold on, I'm almost done. Thank you.
You let Doobie stay in your community?
Yeah.
Okay. Why should you do that?
Well, I mean, if Steven wants to donate $1,501, then I'll ban Doobie.
Wait, really?
That's it. It's just money for you.
And by the way, kind of stand by that. Now, I might unban Doobie after 30 days on principle, but I would ban Doobie for 30 days for $1,501. And like, but that's the thing, man. Like, I really hope you guys see the extra effort that I try to go into. Beef Supreme and I beef, and I think it would be so easy to just become a lib. Okay, I think it would be so easy to just abandon Patriarch and abandon Grassroots Hegemon, even though they're Oilers, and just be like, oh yeah, I'm just like Destiny now. Turns out open marriages are cool. Who cares about abortion? It's statistically irrelevant. Let's ban all the guns. We should have infinite immigrants from all over the world because most immigrants are super nice. And I think that would be, you know, like easy. It would easy to be like, oh, I used to be a conservatarian or a libertarian or whatever, and now I'm just like a giga lib. And then boom, I could just hang out with Adam Mockler. I could hang out with Destiny. I could hang out with, you know, all these people, and I could just become another shit lib, right? Here you go. Now go ban Doobie. 1531 ARS. We gotta check out the exchange rate. You said it was Argentinian money, right? Duh. The Argentine peso is 0.00068. So 1531. Guys, don't get too excited. It's $1.05. Oh my God. See, it's $1. It's $1.05. Oh, that's awesome. Grassroots says we have to hate Stevens on. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the 5 Grassroots, by the way. Yeah, all I'm trying to say is hate Steven for principled reasons. That was awesome. Real serious. That was awesome. All right, now I lost my train of thought because that was actually mad funny. Yeah,
Not cultivating the community.
I mean, it's also entertaining.
Oh, okay. That's all it takes, and then you're good. So you think you fulfilled a good standard of moderation?
Yeah, I relatively speaking, like, oh, that's what it was. It would be easier to be a lib. Yeah. But dude, I like these fights, man. I like fighting about neoconservative military intervention. I like fighting about American military interventionism on the world stage. I like fighting about the military-industrial complex. I like fighting about reducing taxation, particularly for people who make under $500,000 a year. I like talking about the fiscal deficit that we're running into. I like talking about the moral degeneracy that seems to be at the core of a lot of liberals' worldview. So I like fighting you guys on these things. So if you know, I don't really think you guys want me to become a liberal anyways, at least not the true coggers. Like, I think liberals would be happy to have just another like knight in the stable of the fight for liberalism, but I don't think that I would be serving the cog. So, like, freedom of speech and freedom of conscience.
Interesting. You know what? I've had a change of heart, Connor. I agree with you. I think that I also.
It's kind of funny because Pisco's like trying to trap him, but I guess the two big differences in my mind are that one, well, I mean, fucking Connor's position on me is pretty clear. Like Connor is critical of things that I do, which is fine. And like he said them to me privately and he said them to me publicly. But Connor also
Real serious says that's like 1% of my salary, guys. Don't laugh. Real serious. What? You might be joking, but like, what is your dude? If for real, okay. Hold on. Let's have a real moment, and let's ignore Christian Valeris when Christian Valeris says we need to pay attention to the content. Let's ignore Christian Valeris real quick. Okay. Real serious. I am serious. Okay. You might be joking that 1531. Okay. What I was going to say is if your monthly income, let's say your monthly income was actually, I don't know, 10,000 pesos or something like that. And it was the equivalent of like $5 or $20 a month. And then everything cost because of the exchange rate. Everything costs substantially less. Right. You make okay money for Argentinian dollars. Dude, if sending you like $20 converts into like 100,000 Argentinian pesos, and therefore you could like DoorDash every single day for the next year and buy your wife like a kick-ass engagement ring and fucking, buy a Vespa for, 5,000 pesos or something like that. I once again, like exchange rates are exchange rates, but I don't know how much your monthly equivalent money, but I would like 100% PayPal you. Like if there was a way to PayPal you, let's say that I could PayPal you like $50 or $100 and that would just like double your salary. I would 100% just send you $50 or $100. So you just had like 60 days off and could take the girlfriend on a date. That's what I would do. We would break their whole economy. Let's break the Argentinian economy through Real Serious. Austin Nasty says Connor lined up the content perfectly for the court transcripts to drop. Awesome. Okay. Real Serious is saying he's good. Okay.
like still like will come on my stream or hang out with me in real life. And I'm guessing, I guess I haven't seen it, and it's possible that I've just totally missed it, but I've never gotten all these DMs or crazy things of like crazy shit being said about me in Connor's chat, or, with Connor kind of sort of just like co-signing it or not saying much or just being like coy about it. Like Connor's being pretty honest about it. Like, oh, this doobie-doo donates me a fuck ton of money. But like, yeah.
To cultivate communities with free expression and open dialogue. And I largely think that that's like okay to do. And I don't think it means that you're intentionally cultivating the community of snarkers. What do you think about that?
Oh, that just happens to be Pisco's position. That's my position, bro.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think the guilt by association stuff is cringe, and we used to criticize the fuck out of guilt by association a few years ago.
Sure. So do you have any problem with my moderation style?
Hold on. This is where I think this is a point against DGG and against Destiny that I do want to emphasize. Okay. I don't like the guilt by association shit. And so I feel like Destiny is using guilt by association in order to hold JStock and Pisco and Doobie and whatever accountable. But I would actually, the way that these people allegedly, or members of their community allegedly stalk Destiny and all of his court stuff and Snark and all that kind of stuff, I actually, if I was Steven and I had already spent like $750,000 on excuse me, on the court case, I would spend like 30 to 50 effectively on like counter doxing operations. I would just find some guy who was like super tech savvy, who was into Kiwi farms, who was into Discord, who was into this and into that, and then have them cross-reference stuff where, like, let's say that there was Solo, and Solo was posting all of this like personally identifiable information and or identifiable information on Kiwi farms. But then he was also posting it in Discord, but they were running by different PFPs. Like they were running by different PFPs and different names. Then I would have somebody effectively like try to track down the separate profiles and correlate them using as much information as possible in order to identify the cross-pollination of these communities. Because I think the problem with a lot of the people who are outside of the drama, who are not participating in it actively, is that Steven just saying like, oh, these people these people are all just snarking me and harassing me and stalking me and swatting me and this, that, the other. And you're like, okay, what's your evidence? And they're like, well, there's a lot of cross-pollination between the communities. That doesn't feel very substantive. So SNF says, did you see that Destiny said you're one of the main reasons he decided to stay in Florida was shooting guns with me? Yep. And now I have warm, fuzzy feelings. Even though allegedly some court docs dropped and, you know, being his friend is we're supposed to start backstabbing. We won't. Jen Winkler said something really nice earlier today. You just said something really nice that was similar to what she said. And I think for better or worse, I just have to be a good friend. So just have to be a good friend. Real Serious says, on your end, if you don't appreciate it when people send small super chats or you feel like I'm abusing it, let me know. I'm just used to being the cost for US. That's why I don't give subs. I feel like I would be abusing the system too much. No, bro. No, Real Serious. You have to understand, I love it. Okay? I love it. So, sorry, moment of humility, okay? I need money to pay my bills. I need real money to pay my bills. I cannot use 1531 Argentinian pesos, which is the equivalent of $1.05 to pay my rent. So I can't do it all the time. But having an active, engaged chat, which you're a member of, and then also sending in super chats, so there's like internal chat momentum, it's awesome. Feel free to send me as many, or even if your Argentinian pesos add up to 5 cents or 10 cents. I don't care. It's funny to me. It's good. It's good for chat momentum. I like it. Don't feel bad about it at all. No. As a matter of fact, I think your moderation style is looser than my moderation style. Like
really?
you tolerate
careful.
you tolerate more dickheads.
That's not what
at
Pisco
least as
wanted
far
to
as I
hear.
understand. There are people who piss you off to the point that I would have just banned them. Like if somebody's being like a smug, snarky bitch, and I'm not even saying snark like a drama frog who hates somebody else. I mean snark as in like they have this holier than thou attitude. Oh, yeah, Beef Supreme and Jen Winkler, holier than thou attitude, despite me having it. I'm the streamer. You're the chatter. If you're acting holier than thou, you're getting fucking banned. So, and I think you tolerate those people, at least as far as what I've seen.
Sure. No,
That's not his
all right,
point.
I'm going to level with you, Connor. I was being a little bit facetious when I just interrogated you.
I figured. It sounded exactly like the line of argumentation
What is he asking?
that has been used against you for still being tepidly friendly with people who dislike Steven.
Who you're
Tepidly friendly is a way to say it, but okay.
talking about. There are some people with whom I'm friends.
See, but I would be curious what Steven means by this. So for instance, like, I don't think Pisco and J-Stock are best friends. I don't think Doobie and Pisco are best friends. I don't think Pisco and Queeman are best friends. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've seen Pisco be a fan, or excuse me, I've seen Queeman be a fan of Pisco, but I have not seen the inverse. I've only seen Queeman cheer on Pisco, and I think it's actually for the same reasons that I criticize Pisco. So Queeman thinks that the liberals and the center lefties and the center righties, which he includes Hutch in this area, he hates that we're all moral frogging about Hassan Piker, and we think Hassan Piker is such a geopolitical and political and personal piece of shit, and yet we're, you know, fans or friends or orbiters or whatever of Destiny. And so I think I think Queeman unironically cheers on Pisco, not just because he's a Destiny anti-fan, but because he actually thinks that that is a like correct political position, that Hassan Piker is not that bad, that the leftists are not that bad, and they should be a part of the coalition. And so for me, that's where, once again, tepidly friends with, yeah, I think that, at least from my perspective, that seems to be a earnest assessment of Pisco's association with Destiny's like biggest anti-fans. And I think Pisco would even argue that they're maybe like associates. They're not even friends.
Friends who I think dislike Steven. But guess what? He is
Dislike
friends with people who don't like me.
And Batusai, thank you for the chip.
And you have friends who don't like me, and I have friends who don't like you. And guess what? That's called human society. That's called,
my
like,
God.
we're living all in a society. Now, if there are people
He's brain broken,
who are
guys.
using your communities to do illegal or TOS stuff or that violate your rules, I'm sure you have and will moderate that, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, the thing that Stephen was talking about as far as like the worst things that have happened to him, doxing, swatting, IRL harassment, digital harassment, emails, all that kind of stuff, those would be the fastest. If somebody told me and showed me some evidence that somebody in my community had done that stuff, that's the fastest way that they're going to get banned. Just as an example, though, I will bring this up. There's the Senpai, Sapa, whatever that guy's name is, who emailed that girl's family. Even if on principle, I thought that Steven should, figure out his civil case, whatever reason, like, maybe he's done some wrong things there. On principle, I would view that as touching the poo, and I would ban Sapa or Sita or whatever that guy's name is.
Higher standard than Pisco's moderation.
Off platform conduct.
Yeah, I mean, because if that's what he's willing to do, where he's willing to touch the poo proverbially, I don't want him touching the poo in my community's name.
Well,
Are you going to moderate all off-platform behavior now?
Perhaps a certain line of people that it would make sense to preemptively ban. If you are someone, for example, let's say that you don't want to wade into those kinds of issues because you said before that there are good reasons why you shouldn't do that. I think.
No, I'm going to summarize this for people who are not involved. So Sen Patriarch says, I heard Senpai, and I thought I was in the crosshairs. No. This is Seiba, Seiba. And I would love to be corrected by any Destiny haters in chat. I would also love to be corrected by any drama frogs who enjoyed this content and knew more about it than I did. So my understanding is that in reference to the lawsuit's going down, Pixie's doing her thing. They're looking for other people to join it. And Seiba interjects himself. Even though he's just somebody who's on the internet, he decides that he's going to find Rose and email Rose and try to get Rose to turn against Steven and throw Steven under the bus for any alleged criminal or civil behavior that will simultaneously help out Pixie, but also maybe destroy Steven. And so for me, it's like Steven could be guilty of whatever. He could have whatever civic infractions that he's had. He could have whatever criminal infractions that he's had. And if Seiba was personally involved where Seiba knew about like criminal stuff and he could join the case, I don't have any problems with that. What I do have a problem with is effectively going to an alleged victim of a crime and an alleged witness to crimes, and then emailing not just them, but their family in order to try to get them to be a part of a case in which you're not involved. That feels like something that should be done by Rose. It feels like something that should be done by her and her family. It feels like she should be making those decisions, not random people on the internet. And so that's where I would view that as touching the poo. Officer Nasty says, a part of the wonderful transcript is Rose admitting that Seiba initially reached out to help her remove the docs material Steven uploaded. It's in the files. Okay. That doesn't change what I just said, though. So he did something nice, which was helping her get docs material removed. Okay, that's cool. Why are you reaching out to that gal's family? That's kind of crazy, right? Why he reached out? No. What the details that I'm looking for, Officer Nasty, is that if you listen to the J-Stalkers and if you listen to the Queefers, to hear them categorize the actions that Seiba took, it was, oh, well, he was just trying to help her out with the doxing material. And then he was also trying to get her to be a part of the case because that was the right thing to do from his perspective. And they kind of like minimize the way that he did it. And then when you bring up the fact that Seiba allegedly emailed not just Rose, trying to get her to be a part of the case, but emailed female numbers, emailed family members. And then if you hear DGG bring it up, then DGG says, oh, he emailed them like 17 times, emailed them like 20 times. And I don't know if that's true. I don't know if he emailed her 2 or 3 times, then emailed each family member 2 or 3 times. I don't know if that's hyperbole. So, yeah. And Randy Chang says, Queefers, ? Yeah, it's my sarcastic label of the Queeman community. So that was a detail that I was looking for. How many emails were sent and to whom? Because if he sent, you know, 2 or 3 emails to Rose, 2 of them were responded to, 1 of them wasn't, and then a follow-up email was not responded to, then I'd be like, okay, you're touching the poo, but that's not that bad. But then if he sent like 1 email to a family member and it didn't include a lot of personal information, but it was like, hey, I'm trying to get in contact with Rose regarding a legal issue, could you help me out? I would view that differently than, did you know that Rose is involved in this horrible thing and that she needs to be a part of it in order to make, like, I would view the behavior differently based off of the frequency and tenor of the emails, right? Has anybody seen these emails? I have no idea. I have no idea. All right, anyways, let's let it flow.
That you would agree, given that profile of someone who doesn't want to wade into those substantive issues, perhaps, that to preemptively ban on the basis of wading into those issues would sort of counter the whole point of that person's stance, right?
I'm not sure if I fully understand you, but yeah, actually, could you say it again if you want me to understand it? Because I'm not sure if I understand it.
Assume that like there were a set of issues that you had, for responsible reasons, chosen not to get into, and the only basis to preemptively ban a person were to be to wade into those issues and make some kind of disposition on those issues. That to do so would itself be waded into issues in which you've been taking a principled stance not to get involved. You follow that?
Oh yeah. Doobie says, "What people did I dox?" Doobie, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought this was part of your lore. Didn't you dox some like some pedos or something? Some like there were some like actual criminals in the politics Discord, and you gave some of their information to law enforcement. I forget if that's part of your lore. I could just be making shit up. Now, that's not a bad thing, to be clear. I'm just wondering if that's part of your lore. This is actually one of the things that happened during the Mr. Girl drama in 2022, where I actually agreed with Steven on. I think a house is a man's castle. I think a man's chat is a man's castle. I think a man's Discord and Reddit is a man's castle. And therefore, if there is a topic that somebody is repeatedly dragging towards, and it's something that you want to avoid as a community or as a streamer, then yeah, you're a king. You know, I tell my mods all the time, you know, if there's somebody who's pissing me off, I'm like, mods, twist his balls. And then, as some people have found out today, those people get banned.
Well, I just want to say that I respect your position here. It doesn't sound like you have any problem with how I'm cultivating my community. I, however, I'm taking a look at you know, potential issues, and so people say things to me. And so if there are DGG mods,
Does the silly serious hate you now? She's always said she's a girl's girl, so I can imagine she's on Doe's side. I have no idea. I haven't communicated with her in a year or whatever, is my guess. I don't know. So probably, maybe, who knows?
who want to apply to be a mod in my community, I welcome their applications. In fact, I'm taking the time to go and seek out some mods myself. And if they would like to join the modding team in the Discord, we will entertain their applications to do so, to see what great and wonderful suggestions they can bring to the moderation team here.
My beef with your community, actually, or my beef with your content, so to speak, is actually something that makes your content more entertaining. But it's effectively like, I think that you and the liberals or whatever are playing footsie with leftist freaks who should be ultimately like yelled at and screamed at. Here we go. Here's the part of the debate that I actually think is pertinent. So let's go back a little bit and kind of summarize that. So Pisco was saying that he was being held to a unfair standard, that some, you know, basically Steven was coming to him and saying that he was facilitating other communities who were attacking Steven, and that therefore Pisco, I don't know if he would say he's like partially responsible, but it's effectively like malevolent neglect, right? That's kind of where what he was being accused of. And so he came back to me because characters like Doobie, or characters like Officer Nasty, or characters who I think Patriarch, weirdly enough, somebody else, maybe it's conservative liberalism, but there's some other characters in my chat who don't like Steven. But I think the cultural difference between us and the Queefers, or the J-Stalkers, or anybody like that, is that it's not like a dedicated part of my life to hate on Steven's flaws and failures. Whereas it does seem like a healthy chunk of content and a healthy chunk of energy and super chat revenue and this, that, the other is being spent on hating on Steven and destroying Steven. And so that's kind of where that's kind of where it's like, that's where we defer. And I think that's what Steven's picking up on, where the level of hostility that is coming towards him does not feel proportional to his sins. And so that's actually what we're really arguing, is like, does Steven deserve the alleged consequences of his sins? And bullied out of public life, but you know, you doing those things makes the content more interesting. So we disagree. I think that you should take a pro-leftist bullying stance, but then I get to bully you about not bullying the leftists, and then boom,
Yeah, but I don't understand what you're talking about. I just don't understand what you're talking about. Like, I play footsie. You're just talking about Mamdani.
I agree that Pisco himself does not participate in like unhinged Steven hatred. I agree.
AOC. That's all.
Not that I've seen. Mamdani, AOC, Vanguard, Aaron.
Wait, so you must have condemned Rokana. Did I hear you say it?
Yeah, I mean, I've said that I like Rokana for XYZ ABC, but I also don't like him for XYZ
Wait, what
ABC.
are you talking about? He just...
See, and this is where the facetious line of argumentation, I think, is so R-slurred. Pay attention to what's actually being said real quick. Pisco is saying, well, you criticize me, and you criticize a bunch of liberals for playing footsie with leftists, and yet you don't have all this smoke for Rokana. Number one, I don't routinely cover Rokana. I don't know if you guys have checked my backlog of VODs, but I don't have a lot of Rokana VODs, okay? And Rokana and Thomas Massey have a lot of grace with me because of their role in writing and passing the Epstein legislation. So they can say very R-slurred stuff for the next like 5 to 10 years. And I'm still going to be like, yeah, that's cringe, but they wrote the Epstein bill. Therefore, they're still based in my opinion. And so, but I do think it's cringe that Rokana went on to Hassan Piker. But I've also kind of accepted that the left does not view Hassan Piker the way that I view him. I view him as a nefarious guy. I view him as a manipulative guy. I view him as somebody who is trying to mainstream social democratic perspectives and policies. But then once you actually get into his community and start watching his content, he's an anti-American, anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, and effectively anti-Western person. And ideologically, in my opinion, he's like an enemy of the United States. If there was if Hassan Piker was able to rally 10,000 armed men who would fight and die for his cause, and those people encountered military armed forces of the United States, I would expect them to get into a violent confrontation because of the different ideologies they serve. I'm unironically saying, I am straight up saying, I am 10 toes down saying, I think that Hassan Piker, despite being a citizen of the United States, is actually an ideological enemy of the United States. And yet, the left wing, because they want his clout, they want his access to young people, they want his social cachet, they are willing to treat him as a friend. Loner views Hassan the same as you, and he's pretty far left. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not an enemy of the United States.
Had a fucking sit down with Hassan Piker. Did you see it?
Yeah, I condemn that. Fuck him for that.
Oh, but you might still support him.
Oh my God. Pisco is torturing this analogy so much. This is the same thing that like they do on the logistical Discord server. They used to. I don't know if they do anymore. But this whole like, oh, so like, hey, my issue is your community seems to be absolutely full of people that are engaged in real life harassment, spreading crazy, disgusting rumors about me, lying about me constantly, infecting and flooding other communities and trying to get this whole community to hate me. And it's like, oh, well, didn't Ro Khanna, the congressman, talk one time to Hassan Piker, who you also think is disgusting, but you're saying you would still talk to Ro Khanna? Well, isn't that kind of the same exact thing? It's like, are you retarded, my friend? What the fuck? Hello? Really? Okay.
You know why I
Fucking
support him in
You
his efforts in
fucking
the
hypocrite.
Epstein
You
files. The
fucking
same way.
hypocrite. There is no through line into what you're talking about here. You will take issue with me hanging out with the Vanguard on Live and Learn when they're coming in and being grilled by Hutch and me actually opposing them. But when Ro Khanna has a fucking masturbation session with Hassan Piker, you're like, oh, I'll condemn that. You're such a hypocrite on this.
This is
All right,
so
well,
I'm
retarded.
serious.
It's
I'll say
retarded.
it.
This is so
I'll say it.
retarded.
Fuck Rokana on that. Fuck you
On that.
for
on that.
hanging.
But you don't, is he pussyfooting the way I am?
Probably. I haven't watched the content.
Oh, holy shit. So you think he went on there on Hasanabi's podcast and was more combative than I was with Vanguard and with Hutch there on Live and Learn?
No, I doubt it. But hold on. Let me actually articulate a sentence so we can get past memes. So
Yeah.
the thing that
I'm not memeing. This is the previous part was a meme. This is real. I don't think that you have any good standard that you're applying here. I think that you
no, this is
I think it's
this is
harder on
extremes.
me.
Ooh, I'm gonna start drawing while we're doing this because I think this is very silly. I legitimately think this is a silly line of argumentation from Pisco. Same way.
And people, yeah.
So it's the same way with Thomas Massey, okay? Thomas Massey was Rokana and Thomas Massey are both the authors of the Epstein bill. The whole reason why we are absolutely, as a anti-Trump coalition, annihilating the Trump administration is because of legislation that was authored and pushed through by Rokana and Thomas Massey. And so in that degree, they have my support. However, Thomas Massey is also like a schizophrenic fiscal conservative who legitimately believes in chemtrails. He thinks chemtrails are a thing. He's almost as crazy as Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so he doesn't have my support in that regard. And then
Yeah,
same
but if
thing.
if it was Thomas Massey versus Ro Khanna for president, who'd you vote for?
Yeah, Thomas Massey all day.
Yeah. So then, what good is this? What good is this bullshit? You're basically
I
suggesting
like
someone believes in
libertarians
chemtrails.
more than I like socialists or social democrats. Yeah.
It's Ro Khanna. He is in a tech fucking utopia.
See, dude, this is actually what pisses me off, okay? And this is what pisses me off about this argumentation. I don't think people believe me when I say what I believe. And I think that Pisco does just want to bully me into being a lib. Okay? I think that's what he wants. He just wants to make enough arguments where a nanny state, welfare state, run by left-wing technocrats is the ideal and we should push for it. And therefore, even if I don't like Bonnie Blue or if I don't like Hunter Biden or if I think Destiny's nihilist hedonism is a little bit too much sometimes, I should just give all of those objections and criticisms up and I should just support Steven and Pisco and Hunter and Bonnie Blue and Ro Khanna and Hassan Piker, because realistically, this coalition of lefties is going to achieve a better material reality than the right wing. And you know what? There's actually an argument from a consequentialist viewpoint that the Democrats, particularly now with how crazy MAGA has gotten in the past few years, would achieve a better material reality if they're given power. But the only reason why they would is because they would be tempered by people like me. Okay? They would be tempered by the people who have fiscal conservative standpoints, or they understand fiscal conservative standpoints. People who are actually technocratic and have been technocrats in the private and public sphere. People who do have social conservative instincts and try to re-inject them into society. And so they're effectively saying like, oh, just surrender. And I'm like, no, I'm a necessary part of the calculus. I need to temper and hold back the extremities of the right, but I also need to temper and hold back the extremities of the left. And it's an important social function. So stop trying to eliminate this important social function. It's frustrating.
Yeah, over there in capitalist California.
Then he should stop playing footsie with socialists, and then maybe he'll get my vote.
Maybe your read on this podcast circuit shit, maybe that's what's fucked. Maybe you're unable to.
And no, it's not. No, it's not. If liberals and lefties and progressives and sock dems could play footsie with Hassan, America deserved 9/11, the brave Mujahideen graped Dan Crenshaw's eye hole, The Red Sea crisis is based. The world will not know peace until the state of Israel is destroyed. On 10/7, Hamas didn't do nothing wrong. Like, if they could play with Hassan Piker without reaping any social consequences, liberals, leftists, progressives, and sock dems would. And I'm not going to let you. Okay? I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to let you play with your Hassan Piker sex doll and not reap some social consequence. Okay? It's not going to happen. So stop complaining about it.
Distinguish when
maybe the liberals are being fucking pussies where they have a leftist travel to an authoritarian nation that I would say has arguably demonstrated such morally egregious behavior that they're comparable to Nazi Germany before the Holocaust was discovered, and you guys are playing footsie with the guy. Maybe that's what's happening.
The thing is though,
I stand on that shit. The same way that Hassan Piker stands 10 toes down that terrorism in the Red Sea crisis is based is the same way that I stand 10 toes down that Hassan Piker is a terrorist apologizing piece of fucking shit who's an ideological enemy of the United States. And these people, lefties and liberals, would 100% play with him like a toy without social consequence if they could. 100%.
The thing is,
maybe your analysis would hold weight if it were a Democrat that was sent there instead of Hassan Piker going there. And maybe it would work if the Democrats, I don't know, was part of this like long-standing bipartisan consensus against China. And I don't know if it weren't Joe Biden and all the Democrats who signed on to a bipartisan TikTok ban for the sole purpose of.
Vazaraka, thank you for becoming a chipper. I'm serious. We have a ton of chippers. Dr. Zayas, Numinax, Fellrunner. I'm trying to think of who else. But we have a ton of AK Batusai does it too. Anonymous Chatter is right there. Real Serious is right there. Old School Chips. I'm taking a look at my chippers who have chipped today. Fellrunner, thank you for your chips. Skillful Dunce, thank you for your chips. Jeb Kush. And Vazraka. Vazraka, thank you for, you are welcome to say whatever you want, man. Or gal, guy or gal, whatever you are. If you want to be a lurker and you just want to chip in every now and then, awesome. And thank you. But thank you for consistently chipping in. I think you've probably donated between 10 and 20 memberships over the past couple of weeks. Thank you, Vazraka. I do appreciate it.
Trying to stymie influence from allegedly from China. Some people have their other conspiracy theories about why the TikTok ban was put into place, but I would maybe take your criticism more seriously if it was, I don't know, tailored to Democrats as opposed to Hassan Piker. But the conflation between them never stops for you, does it?
Dude, if I had a map, because they do this with like Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, it would be like a red line directly from one character to another character. Okay. So say, how dare you, my pearls, I must clutch them. How dare you associate the Democratic Party with the extremities of Hassan Piker's rhetoric? And
Connor's mad because people like Pisco will basically play buddy-buddy with people like Hassan. Yeah.
Then,
you don't
like,
do. No,
the tie line is Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna, you. Like, dude, it's so easy. It's so easy.
No,
dude, all I have to do is I have to take the red string and I go like this and I'm done.
You don't do it for DeSantis. You don't do it for DeSantis. You don't do it to.
Yeah, I do.
Considering, no, you fucking don't. Not with any bass in your voice. Not with any bass in your voice. You don't do it for them. That's
yeah. I like conservatarians more than I like socialists. Shocking for a Republican.
Yeah. No, but.
Yeah.
What you're suggesting is a direct through line to policymakers.
Hi, Dr. Zayas. Welcome back. Beef Supreme with the 20 with the hearts. Thank you, Beef. Sorry for our earlier lovers' quarrel.
This is Trump in the White House. Trump with control over the government. Trump with control, a lot of exercising control over the ideology of his base, where it's clearly top down from one direction. What's that direction? MAGA, comparing to some Democrats who are using Hassan's platform to spread their message and their agenda, and who are taking his audience and clearly extracting from him. You are comparing those two relationships and saying, I'm
dude,
by a
this
podcast appearance.
But by the way, we've already had this argument 3 times, so I don't know if I want to have it again.
Okay,
I thought you were gonna come in and you were going to say, oh, man, I disagree with your characterization. Well, I guess you're not watching the content, which is fine. It's fine. I don't expect you to watch my content.
I was fucking around with that.
But I was, what was it? I was just watching PF Young and Destiny fight over Nick Fuentes and whether or not liberalism has failed, and then also fighting about like the historical support for the Zionist vision of Israel. So that's what I thought we were going to fight about, but that's okay.
Oh, no. You think I'm going to fight about Israel with you?
I mean, we could if you wanted to. Matter of fact, I have a drawing. Do you want to see my drawing?
Oh,
Oh,
Finish what you were
no.
gonna say, and then we'll
Oh,
get
this
into your
poor
drawing.
guy.
Yeah. So anyways, okay, I think I'm about to bring up my cat and tiger analogy, and this is where I think that people are misunderstanding what I'm attempting. Okay, I think that MAGA is a populist movement that has used economic populism and the dispossession of the average American person in order to become a leopard that is currently eating my face. Okay, and I am trying to argue that the right wing needs to return to a time period in which the federal government is the size of a house cat. That way, it's not eating our face. Okay. This is what I argue all the time on the right wing. And so when he says, well, you would consider JD Vance or you would consider, what is it? Ron DeSantis or something like that as a alternative to an extremist Democrat, then yeah, I mean, yeah, I would consider that. But they are still Ron DeSantis and who is it? Maybe not Ron DeSantis, but oh, sorry, I was thinking of JD Vance. Probably not JD Vance. JD Vance is probably somebody who wants to jump on the tiger and ride it. But Ron DeSantis, I would view as a smaller tiger than MAGA, right? I think he would be more technocratic. I think he would make better judgments. I think he would do what was necessary to secure the country. I think he's probably a Republican in that he actually believes in a republic. He probably believes in the Constitution. And there you go, right? Like Randy Jenks' JD is out for me. I'd still love to vote for Ron. Yeah, I love Autist Ron. I mean, he tried to sell the Florida wetlands to a bunch of property developers. But when the Floridian people rebelled against the property developers and the DeSantis government, he relented because he's more technocratic, because he's more responsive to the people, because he's not a total fucking sociopath. All right. And so what I am frustrated by, as a matter of fact, I was thinking that this was going to be a political compass, but I don't think that this is a political compass. Okay. What I am shocked and scared by is the fact that it feels to me like the left wing is feeding their house cat via Hassan Piker, Ro Khanna, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, the Squad, the familiarization with social democracy, which once again, I don't have a problem with America becoming like a technocratic welfare state. What I have a problem with is I don't think we have the cultural capacity to do it. And I definitely don't want the taxation that comes along with that. And I think that we should probably un-F our system before we ever consider a technocratic welfare state. Like if you want to import all of Scandinavia to the United States and then bring them in as these like giga productive high-end workers in order to support the American welfare state, sure. But if we're going to do it with our current population, I don't think we're capable of it. Okay. So anyways, my argument is that like, yeah, I am currently being mauled by a tiger. MAGA is destroying the right wing. I am getting raped by a tiger. And yet I am trying to move the Republican Party or move the right or move the rhetoric or move my small corner of the internet into like a more sane level of politics where we're not getting annihilated by a tiger. But it feels like Pisco, Ro Khanna, Rashida Tlaib, the Squad, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and broad swaths of the economic populist left, they don't view Hassan Piker as a threat. They don't view his ideology as a threat. And so they're willing to platform it, agree with it descriptively in certain places, fight for its right to continue to exist within the political zeitgeist and space. And they probably view that as like a political necessary to counterbalance the tiger that is currently mauling my fucking face, which I understand. But can you understand, as someone who's getting my face mauled off by a tiger, that I don't want your tiger to get bigger either? Okay. I think this makes a perfect amount of sense to anybody with an IQ over 80. So let me save this. Pisco, tiger eating faces, political diagram. There we go. All right, let's return. What I've argued previously, which I still think is true, is that the right wing used excuses in order to justify their relation. Bud123 says, what's my tiger supposed to mean? Well, right now it's the MAGA party. The MAGA party eating my fucking face. Relationships with crazy people. But what happened was the crazy people were so powerful and so clouded up because they got hooked into the mainstream that as a result, they started to have to listen to the crazy people. And that's how we've ended up where we've ended up. And what's happening is I don't see that as extreme on the left wing. But whenever I bring it up in reference to the left wing, you say, oh, no. We're doing exactly what MAGA did 10 years ago, but we're different. We're built different. We're not going to fall into the trap. And I think it's fucking stupid. I think it's stupid.
I think that you just see Trump and Hassan as the same kind of figure with the same kind of influence that they have. And you're seeing this.
Which is not even true. This feels like a straw man. Honestly, I think Pisco is going to keep getting digitally and rhetorically assaulted by the clown mirror. Does anybody remember the clown mirror? I remember the clown mirror quite well. The clown mirror was Destiny was doing something like decoding the gurus, and they went over a series of political arguments that were kind of either like they were bad argumentation or they were bad faith or something like that. And the clown mirror is saying, oh, like here's your reflection of reality. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What he just said is that I think Hassan Piker and that Donald Trump are the same. They're the same size and they're the same social relevance. I don't think I ever said that. I don't think I said it in this conversation. I don't think I've ever said it on stream. I don't think I've ever said that the leftists and Hassan Piker are the same level of social and political relevance as the MAGA movement and Donald Trump. I don't think I've ever fucking said that. I think what I've said is you feeding them will make them as relevant as MAGA is. So I feel like that's a dodge, total dodge, total misrepresentation, total clown mirror.
Like Spectre, that isn't a threat. It is not a threat.
Okay. Missy, why treat them with the same priority? Who says I treat them with the same priority, Missy? You're clearly new to the content. I've spent 80% of my time over the past 2 years bitching about MAGA and Trump and how much they suck and how dangerous they are and how they're going to kill a whole bunch of people through incompetence and how the modern Democrats, while they still suck on XYZ ABC issue, there's still a clear preference to the Trump administration. So when you say, why am I treating them with the same level of priority? I'm not. You're subconsciously sweeping for Hassan and the far lefties. I think okay, is Hassan Piker, yes or no, is he the largest alt media political commentator in the Western world?
No.
Who's bigger?
Asmongold.
Asmongold's bigger.
Besides Asmongold, though.
Okay. That's actually true.
You agree?
Yeah.
Is Hassan number 2?
I don't know. He's up there.
Oh my god.
Okay, he's up there. He's up there. Anyways, let's just put it at top 5, top 10 or whatever.
Okay.
Tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people simultaneously believing that advocating for social democratic policy and also that you should sweep for all the authoritarian socialist regimes of the 20th century is repulsive to me. Okay, disgusting.
True.
This would be like, I don't know, the Republican Party cozying up to Nazis.
True.
It would be something like that.
True.
So, can you guys hear this? It's not sarcasm, but it's irony in my voice, bro. Okay, it's irony in my voice where I'm saying it would be something like the Republican Party cozying up to Nazis. What is the Republican Party doing right now? What are the national conservatives doing right now? As far as I can tell, based off of our video that we watched the other day with Ryan Geppie, who you should check out, RyanGeppie, I think is the way that you spell his name. Maybe it's Getty. It might be Geddie. But that's what they're doing. The national conservatives think that there is something at the core of American identity, which is effectively like Anglo-Protestant Christian nationalism, and that the Catholics should use that as a vehicle to seize political power so they can institute a Christian theocracy in the United States of America. And that if they have to tolerate the ideas of a few dissident right-wing National Socialists in order to build a political coalition that's large enough in order to achieve power, that's what they need to do. And if they hurt a bunch of Hispanics and Asians and Jewish Americans, since they're not a part of the dominant culture, their dignity, their legal status, their humanity, it's all second fiddle. Nobody really cares about it. Like, should you hurt the Jews? Should you hurt the Asians? Should you hurt the Hispanic Americans? Probably not. But are they second fiddle to the Anglo-white Northern European Christian nation? And the answer to those people is yes. And are they willing to flirt with Nazis to achieve power? Yes. And so right there, man, like, I am acknowledging that that has happened in my party and unfortunately seems to be a dominant wing of my party. So why can I not turn around and say, look out? I did not think this was possible. I did not think this was possible on the right 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And yet I have been constantly mauled by this tiger for the past 10 years. So the fact that my options
the
are
fight right now in the Republican Party.
No, I mean, that's the fight.
I like how, I don't know if this is intentional or not, or maybe it is. I think one of the most kind of like tricky things that Pisco does, I don't know if this is intentional or not, is that he's so good at having conversations on like, I guess it's kind of what people accuse me of doing, funnily enough, is he has so many conversations on like process and procedure or like meta conversations that he never actually gets to the substance on anything because it's always bogged down in these stupid like meta worlds. I don't know if Pisco actually agrees that Hassan does do bad rhetoric or that the messages or the message that Hassan has is like harmful or that he sims for authoritarian regimes, because I don't know if he's ever even talked about that. I feel like he always lets people skirt past it and then he does these like weird comparisons, or he talks about, like he said this word a lot, influence. Like he's trying to say influence so that he can get to like viewership numbers or overall amount of I guess like people that agree with.
Yeah, can you guys track the fact in the conversation that saying that it's a small cat repeatedly does not change a fucking thing about what I'm saying? Can you guys just acknowledge that logically for me? A few of the people who are typically critical of me. I'm being eaten by a tiger. I'm trying to make it so the Republican Party is no longer as big of a tiger that is capable of mauling people. Pisco and the left wing, who are normalizing extreme lefty bullshit, they have a small tiger right now. I'm worried that they're going to create a bigger tiger that is then going to maul my face. Okay? That's what I'm worried about. That's what I don't want. So while I'm fighting this tiger in order to try to make it smaller so it stops eating my face, I'm trying to tell you, do not feed the tiger behind my back, because I do not want to be getting annihilated by a tiger soon. Matter of fact, I'm gonna add a drawing to this new drawing, okay? Because I think I say it. Thank you, Beef. I think I say what I'm gonna draw in a second.
With them so that he can skip past dealing with the Hassan question and just talk about like the conservatives, you know?
Right? Because we did what I'm warning you against.
Yeah, and you know what the fight is on the Democrat Party? What's the fight right now? Kamala Harris versus Gavin Newsom versus fucking Josh Shapiro. That's the fight among Democrats.
Yeah, but dude, you always do this thing, like liberals and Democrats always do this thing where they're like, when we're not talking about these characters being like large in the zeitgeist, we're so ooh-woo, we're so cute, we're so kawaii, we're so small, why are you even attacking the socialists, this, that, the other? And then when the socialists do something that's huge, you're like, well, you know, there's different things happening in America right now. Yeah, you make material excuses for it. What power do they have? Mom Don. Unork says, nah, Connor is wrong. The tigers are never going to eat my face.
Mamdani has endorsed Hakeem Jeffries. Mamdani is building a relationship with Kathy Hochul. Mamdani is going to work within the system. And he's the best he got. And
yeah, I still think the mainstreaming of socialism and communism is inherently poisonous. And if Mamdani governed the way that he was tweeting in 2019, then if this was the Vietnam War, then we should fight him with guns. Passion 40 says, Connor, to be honest, you don't come off like that. It was condescending at first. It took until August for a breakthrough and realize you were roaring for help to protect the Dems as the last defense. Are you just saying that my earlier content and coverage was too tepid? Is that what you're saying? Because I mean, that is how I feel. I genuinely was hoping that Donald Trump trying to overthrow the Republic of the United States through January 6, 2021 would be enough to make him repulsive in the general election. And then I do think that towards the end there, August, September, October, particularly with the bad debate with Biden, and then Kamala Harris only having 60 to 90 days to run a campaign, and also her making some tactical mistakes, in my opinion, I think I did put my foot on the gas towards the end of the election. That's absolutely true. I don't even know why I'm arguing with you. I think I just agree with you.
Yes, he would govern like Karen Bass. He would govern like any one of these other Democrats who, when they went very, very, very woke and far too left, they got fucking pummeled in the next elections, even by their own Democrats. They were, elections, taking them out of office for some of the allegations and shit and accusations.
Dude, it's the same analogy. Unfortunately, we've already had this conversation. So if you want to have it again, we can. But I do find it a little tiresome. The analogy, which I said last time we talked about this, it's like having a house cat that you just feed over and over again, and depending on how much you feed it is how big it gets. Right now, I see you guys feeding a house cat and you say, hey, it's a house cat. Don't worry about it. But what I'm saying is that if you keep feeding this house cat, it's going to become the size of a tiger and it's going to eat your fucking face. And you're like, well, what's your evidence that if I continue to feed this house cat, it's going to eat my fucking face? Meanwhile, I'm over here and a tiger is fucking wrapping its fucking bladed fucking teeth around my throat. And I'm like, don't do what my political team did. Don't get eaten by the tiger. And you're like, nah, I got it.
I love your
Here's some meat.
analogy, right? So
here's some meat. Here's some meat, little cat.
So perfect. Your analogy is so perfect, right?
Thank you.
So guys, listen to Connor's analogy, because it actually is, for once, perhaps we'll look at this drawing, but for once, Connor's analogy is great. There's a tiger around his throat, and you are over there petting a kitten. He's like,
okay. I have great analogies all the fucking time. So fuck Pisco for this one. Number one, I like all of my analogies. Number two, this is why I do mind map drawings, because I think once they're on paper and they're in front of your face, they're almost undeniable. Even when I'm beefing with people in chat, typically, as soon as I draw out a mind map, they at least say, I don't agree with it, but I can see what you're getting at. So once again, people like, I'm 5 years into being in Twitch and YouTube politics. People still act like I'm a fucking moron pulling shit out of my ass. And yet, typically when I draw something out into being specific, they're like, okay, I don't agree with it, but I see where you're getting at.
please stop petting the kitten.
Because I'm getting eaten by a fucking tiger, and I don't want to. I'm punching this tiger in the eye sockets repeatedly as it's mauling my throat, and you're like, dude, I'm gonna make another tiger for you to fight.
The kitten.
No. But you're like, hey, I'm gonna make another tiger for you to fight 5 to 10 years from now. Do you think fighting one tiger is fun? Do you know what's even better than one tiger? 2 tigers. So I'm gonna make another one for you to fight.
You want to know the difference about this cat? This cat has one leg. It has the cat version of, I don't want to say it. Fuck. It's a low IQ.
It's got feline AIDS.
It's a very beautiful one. Everyone loves the cat, but the cat's not going to be a tiger. All right. It's a tabby cat. It comes as a cat.
Okay. Well, if it has 3 legs and it's got HIV, put it down. Stop petting it.
Okay. Then how about we worry about the?
So true, bro. All right. I just articulated this in the, Game of Thrones mind map was base. I agree with that. But hold on. This is what I'm talking about. All right. I'm over here getting annihilated by a tiger. I am asking that Pisco stop feeding his tiny tiger. And what's going to happen is if I keep fighting my tiger, maybe it'll become a smaller tiger over time, which is what I'm hoping for once Donald Trump dies and or loses office. And then if Pisco and all the liberals and the lefties keep feeding their tiger and it becomes huge, and let's say that I fail in my endeavor to make the tiger smaller, because let's be real, there's a lot of indications that this tiger is going to be very difficult to defeat, then instead of having to fight 1 tiger, I'm going to be fighting 2. And that is a stupid position for Pisco and his friends to put me into. And yet they seem insistent upon it because they're like, ha, this tiger shall never eat my face. It'll never eat my face. Matter of fact, this tiger and I, we agree on a lot of economic policy. We actually agree on universal health care and dignity for immigrants. Therefore, I'm going to keep feeding this tiger. And I'm like, please, God, you're going to rape me with this tiger. Real Serious says maybe a better analogy would be you're trying to extinguish a house fire, and meanwhile, Pisco's in the other room smoking a cigarette and adding wood to the fireplace. Yeah. Yep. Unironically. James L83 says Connor is the nervous dog in the meme of his person playing with a baby mountain lion. Yes. Yes, that is me. I know exactly what I know exactly what you're talking about. I can see the video in my mind's eye. Excellent analogy. Anyways, my dogs are under the table, so they might knock out my power, but let's keep going.
Tiger that's attacking us.
I am worried about the tiger. I'm punching it in the eyes and jamming my thumb into its eye holes. That's what I do all day.
But you're also scratching the back of the other tiger right behind it. That's also a fully grown tiger. And you're like, please save me from the little cat.
Well, that's because power.
Like Pisco's hiding behind this weird thing of like the left have no political power and the left will never be influential in anything ever, and so it's okay. Like that's the argument that he's putting forth. But I think his true
which feels like a sweep
argument, like internally, I think he thinks that the stuff they stand for isn't that bad. That like if you were to break down all the Sunpiker's beliefs, you would agree with like 98% of it, and maybe there's a little bit of problematic stuff, but that problematic stuff will never grow. That's what it sounds like his true position is. But he's trying to market it as though he's saying like, well, no, I just don't think these people will ever be politically relevant. Which
correct.
They might not necessarily be politically relevant, but the issue is how much of the fucking media landscape they end up poisoning, which is very unfortunate.
Pours a vacuum. And I already think that the far left like punch way above their weight class in reference to the media landscape. Do you guys not remember the past 5 or 10 years? Because in the past 5 or 10 years, what we would do before BLM, late 2010s, I know this is actually 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, but you have to understand that this feels like yesterday for me because I was an adult at the time. You understand that Francesca Ramsey. Do you guys remember Francesca Ramsey from MTV? I think that's what was her name. So Francesca Ramsey, I think was her name. Yeah, it's this girl. So Francesca Ramsey worked for MTV, and she had all these progressive like skits that were like 10 or 20 minutes old. Yeah, it was Decoded. And very pretty black girl, by the way. Not trying to be rude on that front. But she did this show, and it was like, it wasn't really culturally dominant. I think a lot of people made fun of it, but its impact in the zeitgeist was huge. And then same thing with that Bill Nye the Science Guy rerun that came out with all the progressive like trans arguments and stuff. That had a huge cultural impact, even though it's small as shit. And I don't think liberals or progressives, like, I don't think they believed all that shit. I don't think they believed everything Bill Nye the Science Guy said. I don't think they believed everything that Francesca Ramsey said. But just because of the way that they communicated within the cultural zeitgeist and the acceptance and promotion of progressive attitudes in the late 2010s, they had a huge cultural impact. And so once again, just saying like, oh, it's cute, it's uwu, it's kawaii. Most lefties don't think this way. No, man. No, they do have a huge impact. And by the way, some of these impacts we've talked about for so long in the past decade, they are permanently rewiring my brain because unfortunately, some of these ideas were interesting, even if I don't think that they were healthy or good. Dude, do you remember how often people dismiss systemic racism? Do you remember how often the conservatives and the right wingers would be like, well, I'm not interpersonally racist, so who cares about systemic racism because I'm not interpersonally racist. And then like even the conservatives eventually were like, okay, maybe systems are a thing. Yeah, bro. Holy shit. Sacred Snow says, are you just saying she's hot because she has the same haircut as you in some of those photos? No, I think she's actually a good looking black gal. No, I think she's actually a good looking black gal. All right. Grassroots wants us to know the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Sorry, Ken. Sorry, Connor's mom. Sorry, Jesus. Thank you for apologizing. But also, you don't have to apologize. I heard that lyric from darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Was it D12? Might have been D12. Whoever sang She Put That Sugar on My Tongue. Okay, hold on. Matter of fact, this is more important. I want to lose 5 people real quick because I'm not continuing the content. Instead, I'm talking about something different. Y'all should look up. No, that's not it. It's not Tyler, the Creator. Get the fuck out of here. It's not Sugar. She put that sugar on my tongue. You guys remember that? She put that sugar on my tongue. That's not it either. Okay, never mind. I'll go back to the content. I'll find it. Don't worry. I know you guys are super worried about it, but don't worry. I'll find it.
Yeah,
So-
I don't even know what that means. All right,
So there's good tigers and bad tigers. There's tigers that will eat my enemies,
so
and there's
Jen asked
tigers
this
that will
question.
eat me.
Pisco was super quick to say Hassan was bad for his insane takes when he talked to me when I gave examples. Oh, Kalinda, I got a whole fucking thing on you. We might watch after this. I would have to see how he does it, but I feel like I'm trying to think if I've heard Pisco do this. Other people have done this. I worry sometimes that he does a thing. Is this Pisco? Am I inventing this? Someone else does it. Where somebody's like, okay, well, what do you think about like Donald Trump? Doesn't he do crazy stuff? And like, oh, no, hold on. I want to be clear. I don't support Donald Trump. I think it's really bad when he calls people bad names. I think it's terrible when he makes fun of world leaders. I think that the way that he has, conducted his personal life is abysmal, right? And it's like, okay, you did a lot of disavowing there, I guess, but like none of it was actually over the real important stuff that I would want to hear a substantive disagreement with. Now, maybe he did in the examples that you gave. I don't know. I'd have to see for Hassan, but like that would be a thing I would be curious about.
So
All right, we're going to risk the copyright real quick because it is important that you guys do not think the Talking Heads or Tyler, the Creator, are the authors of the song Sugar by Trick Daddy. Okay? You ready? I'm ready.
Your butter peach cone, put it right there on the tip of my tongue, hold it right here. Cause baby, if I bite you, I bet you'll like it. French vanilla is a hell of a flavor for me. With strawberries, 2 cherries, and whipped cream. The best dreams are the wet dreams. And the rest is just a flick without a sex scene. Orally, I speak the truth, cause the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, cause.
There we go. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, according to Grassroots Hegemon and Trick Daddy.
Jen Wink, who I know is known in our community.
Yeah, she's
Jen Wink-
snitching on your community. She's like, they're talking crazy shit over there.
I don't. Fuck. Do you think Connor isn't trying to end MAGA? No, I think Connor's trying to end Trump. Connor is considering supporting JD Vance, considering supporting Ron DeSantis. That's MAGA. Connor is not trying to end MAGA. He just doesn't like Trump.
No, and also, yeah. Targan says, have you ever ridden your squad car in the hood blasting the song when you were a cop? No, but I did have a coworker named Rice who used to bump. He was black, so he bumped hip hop music while patrolling the hood, and people would always wave to him, and they thought it was super funny. Right, because MAGA isn't going away. We've already had this conversation again.
Right. So you're
What motivates MAGA?
That is wrong. You're trying to take MAGA and make it a little bit more palatable and be like JD Vance, Corey Perry, Jason. That's what you want. That's what you
what do you
want?
All right, so I'll just say it instead of asking Socratic shit. So I think that the reason why populism is working in our current political environment is because of shitty wealth inequality. Dr. Zai says, some say that the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I say the darker the flesh, the deeper the roots, is from Tupac Shakur, a song that predates Trick Daddy by 10 years. Well, thank you for sharing, Dr. Zayas. I'll share that with the chat. Demographic change, existential technological shifts, and the dissolution of the social fabric. I think those are the 4 things that are motivating MAGA and motivating left-wing populists. And so as a result, I don't think MAGA, the movement that is motivated by these 4 things, I don't think they're going away. I do want a more competent, technocratic political leader to address wealth inequality, rapid demographic change, existential technological shifts, and the dissolution of the social fabric. See, dude, okay, and I think Pisco is about to say, oh yeah, you just want a politician to solve all problems. And I think that legitimately pisses me off. I think it actually pisses me off as a phrase. And the reason why is because it's like, no, not all problems. I got plenty of problems. I don't want to pay taxes, okay? I don't want to pay my bills. My back kind of hurts. My shoulder kind of hurts. My hip kind of hurts. I have heartburn, okay? There are 10,000 problems that I have that are mine to deal with, okay? And they're mine to deal with alone because they're my fucking problems. But there's some problems that I am incapable of dealing with that only a state has the tax revenue and the technocratic competence to try to address. And those include, I think I said, wealth inequality, existential technological shifts, demographic shifts, and God, I'm missing one. Oh, social dissolution. And so if you want all that shit, well, I think number one, Pisco probably does want all these things to be addressed. But I'm trying to say that, like, no, these are the important things. The reason why our social fabric is fraying, the reason why people feel like we're in a civil war, the reason why Charlie Kirk got shot and half of the country, not really half, but a quarter of the country cheered for it, is because right-wing economic populists and left-wing economic populists are capitalizing on the dissatisfaction from these four areas in order to energize broad populist political movements. And if the technocrats don't step up and fix some of this shit, we are fucked. The state is not going to solve your digestion problems, Connor. You say that. And yet, if they stop being assholes, that might solve half of my heartburn.
You just want to create an ideological framework to use MAGA. That's what you're doing.
So do you. That's politics, baby.
No, I want to destroy my enemies. That's what I want to do.
No, you don't. You want your enemies to become your friends. This is a democracy. What, you're going to get a gun and you're going to go shoot MAGA? Get the fuck out of here.
No, not a fuck.
See, and that's where the hyperbolic rhetoric is so fucking cringe to me. I wanted to point out how cringe this was. Pisco saying, I want to destroy my enemies. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's very R-slurred. Not in the US political context. You don't want to destroy your enemies. Destroy your enemies would mean that, like, Pisco and a bunch of, like, libs with weak wrists would need to grab firearms, hop in a Prius, and start like a left-wing death squad. That's what destroying your enemies would actually mean. So no, what he wants to do is he wants to fight hyperbolically within the cultural zeitgeist to convince a bunch of his fellow citizens that he has the correct ideas about political policy. And as a result, you know, they should vote for candidates that he supports and they can implement the policy over time. Pisco saying he wants to destroy his enemies, I found laughably absurd.
Violently, you idiot. I want to.
Yeah, you want to convert them to your political tribe.
I don't. The MAGA ideology, I want to destroy that. I want it to discredit it. I want it to be out of power.
You're not going to. Matter of fact, Zoran Mondani, you know what his favorite thing was that he said during the Trump press conference where they mutually glazed each other for 45 minutes? He said, "Oh, it was actually crazy, Mr. President. People walked up to me on the streets of New York and they said that they voted for Trump in the general, but or for the presidency, but they voted for me at the city level." Do you know why? Laska Maiko says, what's best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of the women. Pisco 2026. Definitely. Why? Because they're both economically populist. That's why.
Do you watch like advertising like, oh my God, I didn't know that this was better than the leading brand? It's called pandering. That's not MAGA ideology. That's the ideology I want to end. I'm not trying to talk about like rounding up people or anything.
Okay, are you trying? Okay, I'm trying to end economic populism. You know why? I want the people to be so happy that they don't even want economic populism. That's what I want. I want to design a technocratically competent society to the point that the working class and middle class don't want to rebel because they actually like their lives. I want to lull the proletarian class to sleep. I don't want them to be revolutionary. I want the proletarian class to work 40 to 50 hours a week. I want their wife to not work at all or work part-time. I want them to be able to afford a reasonable standard of living and afford having children. And I want their kids to go to good schools, and I want their kids to have decent economic opportunities to the point that the slumbering proletarian giant that Hassan Piker and Zoran Mondani want to shake awake to the point that they can overthrow the economic system. I want to pet that giant's back until he's lulled into beautiful sleep. True. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.